Hi everyone, welcome to Elemental Flows. My name is Christina and thank you for joining me in today's practice. Today I have a vinyasa flow that's great to do in the morning or early afternoon whenever you're looking to wake up the entire body. So in this one, we will stretch out the entire body, but we will also build up a little bit of heat. So do what you can. Feel free to modify whatever you may need, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's get into it. We're going to start today in a wide-legged child's pose. So have the big toes together, knees are wide apart, and let's just walk the hands forward so we could rest the forehead on the mat. And we'll take a couple of breaths here to initiate our practice. So on an inhale, breathe in through the nostrils. And exhale out through the mouth. Take a couple of more deep breaths, following your own rhythm. And think about extending the inhales and the exhales each time. Let's walk the hands over now to the left side so that they come off of the mat, and we still rest the forehead on the mat. Start to feel the stretch in the right side body. And now let's take the hands, walk them over to the other side so that they're over to the right. And then we could feel the stretch in the left side body. Let's walk the hands now back into center, and then we'll walk them in towards us so we can bring ourselves off of the mat. Let's come into a neutral tabletop position. So our hips are over our knees, our shoulders are over our wrists. And from here, let's just take some intuitive movements. So start to notice what feels tight in your body, and then just try to add some additional movement into those spaces as you breathe into those spaces as well. And let's come back to find a neutral tabletop position. Now we're just going to do some circles with our spine. So let's round the spine to begin, tuck the chin into the chest. And then let's go clockwise. We'll move our body over to the right. And then we arch the spine as we bend the elbows. And then come up on the left side. Let's do a couple more rounds of that. So we go over to the right as we arch the spine. Come up through the left and up to the top. One more. Good. And let's reverse the direction and go the other way. So this time we start going over to the left, and then we arch the spine and come up through the right side. And last one. Good. Let's come back to a neutral tabletop position. Now we engage the core as we send that right foot towards the back of the mat. Find your stability here first before you lift that left foot off of the mat and bring your right leg so that it's parallel to the floor. Once again, engage your core before you lift your left arm out in front of you and just hold it there for a moment. And then on an exhale, let's bend the elbow and knee into the chest. On an inhale, let's extend the arm and the leg back out. And then let's rest the knee and the hand back down to the mat. Let's go to the other side now. So we send that left foot back. Start to engage your core before you lift that left foot off of the mat. Now find your stability once again here first before you lift that right arm out in front of you. Hold it for a moment. And then on an exhale, let's bend the elbow and knee into the chest. On an inhale, let's extend back out and then rest the hand and knee down on the mat. Now let's walk our hands forward so we come into our puppy pose. So our forehead once again rests on the mat. And still engage the core while you're here so that you're not overarching the spine. Now let's look up in front of us towards the top of the mat. As we do so, we're going to bring our bodies forward so that it lays on the mat now. And we'll come into our Sphinx pose. So our shoulders are directly over our elbows. Press into the hands as you open up the chest and reach out through the crown of the head. Good, now let's release the chest down to meet the mat. We press into the hands, tuck the toes underneath you so we press up into your downward facing dog. It's the first one of the practice, so feel free to add some additional movement into your body to get into any spaces that are feeling a little bit tight. And come to find stillness in your downward facing dog. Let's look towards the top of the mat and we'll walk the feet in towards the hands. On an inhale, press the hands to the shins to come up to a flat back. Exhale to release, chest comes in towards the thighs. And on an inhale with a flat back, let's come up to a standing position with arms following up overhead. And then press palms together, bring them down through heart center. Excellent. We'll do one sun salutation just to warm up our bodies a little bit more. So on an inhale, let's reach up with the arms overhead. You can look up. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale to come up to a flat back. Exhale to release, hands meet the mat. Let's step back into a plank position. You could come down to your knees here if you like. Bend at the elbows on your exhale to lower yourself down. Slide the chest forward and up to come into a cobra or upward facing dog with the knees off the mat. Exhale to release the chest back down and then tuck the toes, press into the hands, press back into your downward facing dog. Take a moment here to reset, connect to your breath. Excellent. And now let's lift that left foot into the sky. And on an exhale, let's bend the knee, bring it forward into the chest so we can place that foot down on the mat. As we do so, we drop our right knee on the mat as well. And on an inhale, let's swing the arms forward and up to come into your low lunge. So think about shining the chest forward, keeping the shoulders away from the ears, and sinking your hips closer towards the top of the mat. On an exhale, let's bend at the elbows as we arch the spine, lift the chest to the sky. And release, drop the hands to meet the mat. Let's walk the hands back, and as we do so, we shift our hips towards the back of the mat to come into our half split. So while we're here, we're thinking about elongating the spine and reaching out through the crown of the head. You could have a couple of blocks and place them on either side of your mat for additional support if you like. Let's walk the hands slowly now forward as we bend back into that left knee. And on an inhale, sweep the arms forward and up once again. Hold it here for a moment. And on an exhale, we bend at the elbows, arch the spine, and lift up. Bring your hands down to meet the mat, and let's walk them back to come back into our half split. Remember to elongate the spine. Good, and we'll do that one more time. Walk the hands forward, bend into that left knee, swing the arms forward and up. Hold it for a moment. And exhale to release, bend at the elbows and arch the spine. Drop the hands down to meet the mat, and let's walk back to come into our half split. Let's walk forward one more time, bend back into that left knee. And then from here, we're going to place the right hand on the mat. We sweep that left arm towards the top of the mat and then towards the back of the mat. Now you could hold it here, or if you want to go a little bit further, you could bend into the right knee to grab hold of your right foot. Just make sure, whichever position you're taking, that you're turning the chest towards the sky. And release the foot if you had hold of it. Let's bring that left hand back towards the top of the mat. Place it on the inside of that left foot. And then we're going to walk that left foot out to the outer edge of the mat. Hold this variation of lizard. The right knee is still on the mat. You could add some movement here if you like, just by swaying side to side. Or if you already feel quite open in your hips, you could even tilt the left foot out to the side and then use your left hand to gently press on the inside of that left thigh. If you are doing this variation, just make sure that you're not sickling your foot. So your knee, ankle, and heel should all be in a straight line. And let's come out of this. Let's place that left hand back on the mat. Tuck the toes of the right foot so you can lift the right knee off of the mat. And then press into the hands as we send that left foot back. Let's go through our vinyasa. Bend at the elbows to lower yourself down. Slide the chest forward and up for cobra or upward facing dog. Release the chest back down. Tuck the toes. Let's go back into our downward facing dog. Hold it for a moment. And now we repeat on the other side. Lift that right foot into the sky. Bend at the knee. Bring it in towards the chest so you can place that right foot down. We lower the left knee down to meet the mat. And on an inhale, let's sweep the arms forward and up to come into our low lunge. Once again, think about dropping the shoulders, lifting out through the crown of the head. And on an exhale, let's bend at the elbows as we arch the spine, lift the chest to the sky. Let's drop the hands down to meet the mat now. We walk the hands back to come into our half split on the right side. So flex the right foot and remember to elongate the spine. All right, let's go through that sequence 2 more times. Let's walk the hands forward, bend into the right knee, sweep the arms forward and up. Hold it for a moment. And on an exhale, we bend at the elbows and arch the spine. Drop the hands to meet the mat. Let's walk the hands back. Come into your half split. One more time, walk the hands forward, bend into the knee, sweep the arms forward and up. On an exhale, let's bend at the elbows as we arch. Drop the hands to meet the mat, walk them back, and come into your half split. Walk the hands forward one more time. We bend into that right knee. This time the left hand stays planted on the mat. We reach with the right arm towards the top and then to the back of the mat. And you can stay here or bend into the left knee to grab hold of the left foot. And let's release the foot. Bring that right hand on the inside of the right foot. And then we walk that right foot to the outer edge of the mat. And you can stay here, or if you want to add the variation, you can tilt that right foot out to the side. And then gently press with the right hand on the inside of that thigh. And let's come out of this. Bring that right hand back down. Let's tuck the toes of the left foot to lift that left knee off the mat. Then press into the hands as you send that right foot back. And let's go through our vinyasa. Bend at the elbows to lower. Slide the chest forward and up for cobra or upward facing dog. Release the chest back down and come back into your downward facing dog. Take a moment here to reset. Reconnect back to your breath once again if you lost it. And from here, let's look towards the top of the mat, and then we walk the feet in towards the hands. On an inhale, let's press up to a flat back, hands meet the shins. Exhale to release, forward fold. And then from here, let's bring the toes together, bring the feet in together so that the big toes are touching. And then on an inhale, we'll take a deep bend in the knees as we sweep the arms forward and up to come into our chair pose. So engage the core here and think about there being a straight line all the way from your sit bones out through the crown of the head. And let's release. Let's straighten the legs as we do another forward fold. And then from here with a flat back on an inhale, let's come up to a standing position or our mountain pose with arms following up overhead. And then press palms together, bring them down through heart center. Excellent work. Now from here, let's take a deep bend in the knees once again on an inhale as we sweep the arms up to come back into our chair pose. We hold it here for a moment. And then let's transfer our weight over to the right foot so we can lift that left foot off of the mat and then send it towards the back. So we come into our high lunge. So that right knee is directly over that right ankle. Good, and now let's open it up. We open up the hips and the chest to the long edge of the mat as we drop the back heel down. The foot is parallel, the back foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat, and our gaze is forward. Good, and from here, let's take a deeper bend into that right knee so that our hands meet the mat or a block. And as we do so, we lift the toes of the left foot so that our heel is still remaining on the mat to come into our skandasana. So you can have a block or a couple of blocks and place it underneath you here if you want the additional support. Just try to remember to elongate your spine and think about twisting towards the sky. And let's drop the hands down to the mat. We go over to the other side. So we bend into the left knee this time as the right leg is extended out to the side for a skandasana on this side. And let's drop the hands. Whoop, almost fell there. If you fall, it's okay. Just get back into it. Drop the hands to meet the mat. Let's push off of that left foot so that we come into the center of our mats. So our feet are now parallel to the short edge of the mat. And on an inhale, let's press the hands into the ground so that we come up to a flat back. And then exhale to release. Let the crown of the head come closer down towards the mat. And you can pick any variation you like with your hands so you can keep the wrists in line with your heels. You can hold onto your elbows, or you can just have them out in front of you. Do whatever feels best for you in your body right now. And while we're here, just think about releasing the lower back. Great, and from here, let's now take the hands, bring them over towards your right foot and hold the stretch here. And from here, we're going to do a couple of bends into the left knee. So on an exhale, let's bend into the left knee. And inhale to straighten it back out. Do that 2 more times. Bend into the left knee. And straighten it. 1 more. Bend. And straight. Now let's turn the toes of the right foot so that they face the top edge of the mat once again. And we'll come into our Trikonasana. So our left hand reaches up towards the sky. You can use a block to give yourself the additional support here, or the hand can meet the mat. While we're in our triangle pose, we're thinking about elongating out through both sides of the torso so that we're not crunching in. Great, and from here on an inhale, let's lift ourselves off of the mat. We flip the palm of the right hand and windmill the hands towards the back of the mat to come into our reverse warrior. And now the upper body stays exactly where it is. Let's just bend into that right knee to come into a reverse warrior with a knee bend. And let's get out of this windmill the hands towards the top of the mat. And let's turn ourselves so that the heel comes off of the mat and we face towards the mat once again. And then we'll walk the foot, the right foot, out to the outer edge of the mat to come into our lizard. So you can do the one that we did before with the knee on the mat, but otherwise I invite you to try this version with the leg off or the knee off of the mat. You can also go down to your forearms here if you like, or use a block to go down to your forearms. Again, find what works for you in your practice right now. And let's come out of this. Press into the hands if you're on your elbows or using a block. And then let's send that right foot back to meet the left and we go through our vinyasa. Let's bend at the elbows to lower ourselves down. Slide the chest forward and up to come into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale to release the chest. Come back into your downward facing dog and then take a breath. And let's repeat that on the other side. So we begin by looking towards the top of the mat and walking the feet in towards the hands. On an inhale, press up to a flat back. Exhale to release the chest, forward fold. Let's walk the feet in towards one another so that the big toes are touching. And on an inhale, let's take a deep bend in the knees as we swing the arms forward and up for our chair pose once again. Hold it here for a breath. And let's release, forward fold, straighten the legs. On an inhale with a flat back, let's come back up to our mountain pose with arms following up overhead. And then press palms together, bring them down through heart center. Now let's take a deep bend in the knees once again on an inhale as we swing the arms forward and up. Hold your chair pose for just a moment. And then we're going to transfer the weight over to that left foot so we can lift the right foot off of the mat and then send it towards the back so that we come into our high lunge. See if you can sink a little bit deeper in your high lunge. And now let's open up to the long edge of the mat. We drop the back heel as we lower the arms to shoulder height to come into our warrior two. Now let's continue to deepen the bend in the left knee so our hands meet the mat. We come into our Skandasana, so the toes of the right foot lift off of the floor. And we hold it here as we think about turning ourselves up towards the sky. Let's move over to the other side. So now let's come over and bend into our right knee. And this time our left toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. And let's come out of this. Start to walk the hands towards the center of the mat as you straighten your right leg. Now we come into this position with our feet parallel to the short edge of the mat. On an inhale, let's press into the hands to come up into a flat back once again. And exhale to release. The crown of the head comes closer down to the mat. Again, find whatever variation you want with the hands here. And now we'll have the hands directly in front of us on the mat. Let's walk the hands over to the left foot this time. Hold it for a moment for a stretch. And now we'll do 3 bends into the right knee. So on an exhale, let's bend into the right knee and straighten the leg on an inhale. Bend into the right knee and straighten. One more. Bend and straighten. Good. Now from here, let's turn the toes of the left foot so that they face the top of the mat. And then we keep that left hand on the mat or on a block as we reach that right arm up into the sky for a Trikonasana. And let's begin to lift ourselves up. Push yourself off of that left hand. We flip the palm of the left hand and then reach that arm towards the back of the mat. And now the upper body stays exactly where it is. We just bend into our left knee to come into our reverse warrior. And let's come out of this windmill the hands towards the top of the mat. Keep it on the inside of that left foot. We lift that right heel off of the mat as we walk that left foot out to the outer edge of the mat. And we find our lizard on this side. So again, you have the option to go down to your elbows if you like, or go down to a block. And come back up onto your hands if you were down on your forearms. Let's press into the hands so we can lift that left foot, send it towards the back. And let's go through our vinyasa. Bend at the elbows to lower. Slide the chest forward and up for cobra or upward facing dog. Release the chest back down. Press back into your downward facing dog and take a breath. I think that was the last vinyasa of the practice. So notice what's changed in your body, if anything. Notice where you might be still feeling a little bit tight. And try to breathe into those spaces a little bit more. Now let's look once again towards the top of the mat so we could walk our feet in towards the hands. On an inhale, let's press up to a flat back. Exhale to release, forward fold. And with a flat back, let's come up to a mountain pose once again with arms following up overhead. And then press palms together, bring them down through heart center. Now, our last pose before we go down to the floor. Make sure that your feet are hip-width distance apart. We're going to turn the toes outward so that they're on a 45-degree angle. And then let's just bend at the knees as we lower our hips down all the way down to the mat. And you can use a block here and place it underneath your sit bones here if that helps. And while we're here, we're thinking about, once again, elongating the spine, reaching out through the crown of the head. And we can use our elbows to gently push on our inner thighs so that we can open up the hips a little bit more. And let's drop our hands down to the mat. Remove the block if you were using one. And we're going to ever so gracefully just come into a seated position on our mat. And then from here, we'll go all the way down. So you can roll yourself down to the mat. And then once you get there, you can reach out your arms overhead and just elongate the body. Take a nice deep breath here. And relax the hands, bring them by your sides. And then from here, let's take the knees into the chest and we'll just give ourselves a nice hug here. So wrap your arms around your shins. You can curl the chin into the chest and just rock side to side if that feels nice in your body. And whenever you're ready, let's release the feet or release the shins and the knees. Extend the legs back out. And we'll come into our final few set of poses here. We'll begin by first bringing that right knee into the chest and just hold it into the chest for a breath. Now with the left hand, let's guide that right knee over to the left side. The right arm extends out to the side, and you can use a block and place it underneath your left knee here if you want to bring the floor a bit closer towards you. And let's just hold this position here. You also have the option to turn the head over to the right side. Let's come back into the center of our mats. And then from here, we're just going to extend the leg out in front of us. And if you have a strap, it might be useful to just wrap it around your foot or your, your calf, so that you could bring the leg a little bit closer towards you, but not to worry if you don't have a strap. You can just use your hands and you can grab wherever is comfortable for you. So if that's the hamstring or the thigh or the calf or the ankle, wherever feels best in your body. And all we're doing while we're here is we're trying to bring the leg a little bit closer towards us. So try to bend into the elbows so that you can bring it centimeters closer towards your body. And from here, let's now just take that leg out to the side. So it doesn't have to go down to the ground. Make sure that both of your tailbone or your sit bones are still grounded on the mat. And let's release, bring it back into center, and then let's drop that leg down. We'll repeat that on the other side. We begin by bending into the left knee and just hold it into your chest. And now with the right hand, let's guide that left knee over to the right side. The left arm extends out to the side, and we turn our head over to the left. Let's bring ourselves back to center. And then we just extend the leg up into the sky and grab hold of it wherever you can. And once again, we just take a couple of breaths here, trying to bring that leg a little bit closer towards us. And now from here, let's grab hold of the leg and just bring it out to the side. Again, make sure that your tailbone and your sit bones are still resting on the mat so you're not lifted up on one side. Good, let's bring that leg back to center and then release the leg back down. Let's bend into the knees now. Make sure that the feet are shoulder or hip width distance apart. And we'll take a bridge. So we'll have our arms by our sides. And on an inhale, let's press into the hands and feet so that we can lift the hips off of the mat, send them towards the sky. And if you like, you can also have a block and place it underneath for the additional support. And let's gently lower our hips back down. Remove the block if you are using one. And our last pose here, let's take the knees into the chest. And then we'll take the knees out to the side. We're going to come into our happy baby. So make sure that the knees are shoulder width apart. Let's lift the soles of the feet up towards the sky and then reach on the inside of our inner thighs and grab hold of the outer edges of our feet. Think about pressing your hands into the soles of your feet so you could bring the knees a little bit closer down towards the mat. And one final breath here. And let's release, drop the feet down to the mat. Let's extend the legs out, extend the arms up overhead your body. Let's do one final stretch here. And exhale to release. Thank you all for joining me in this practice. That's all for this sequence. I hope you enjoyed it and feel a little bit more stronger and definitely more loose in your body. Let me know how that was for you in the comments. And otherwise, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.